5 Benedict Arnolds, Jim Comey, James Clapper, John Brennan, Andrew McCabe, and Peter Strok. These 5 Benedict Arnolds committed treason against the United States of America, and they should be the first in a long line of our fellow citizens who were traitorous toward our nation to be dealt with, period.
The Justice Department says former FBI Director James Comey violated FBI policy by leaking memos about private conversations he had with President Trump. The Inspector General released an 83-page report Thursday. He criticizes Comey for setting a, quote, dangerous example. Information from those leaked memos eventually led to the appointment of Special Counsel Robert Mueller. Paula Reed explains why Comey isn't expected to face charges.
Check up, man. This is the former FBI Director of the United States of America. This clown was at the White House to meet President Trump and said that he was hiding by the curtains, hoping to blend in so the president wouldn't notice him. Yeah, appointed by Barack Hussein Obama.
Comey was investigated for memos he wrote about interactions with President Trump after the 2016 election. In one, shortly after the inauguration, Comey wrote Mr. Trump told him he needed loyalty and expected loyalty.
And the problem with that is what? Shit, I don't want nobody around me that's disloyal. Shit, hey, keep that to yourself. So as the president, he want people around him to be loyal. What's the problem with that?
Then, after Mr. Trump fired him in May 2017, Comey asked a friend to give the memos to the New York Times.
Now, see, this is where I got a problem at. I mean, you the head of the FBI, and you ain't man enough to walk in there and say, hey, this is what happened, I don't like this, and I'm presenting this to you like this, or I'm giving it to the New York Times myself. I'm going to give it to a friend, and he going to deliver it for me. That sound real homosexuality-like.
I asked him to because I thought that might prompt the appointment of a special counsel.
Now, this clown has the audacity to admit that he is really the source or the person responsible for us having to spend as taxpayers over $30 million to investigate Donald Trump colluding with Russia. Man, what the? Get the rope.
The tactic worked. Robert Mueller was appointed special counsel. But today, the Inspector General said Comey had several other lawful options available to him and that his actions set a dangerous example. The IG criticized Comey for keeping and leaking the memos, but wrote that while they did contain some classified material, there was no evidence that Comey or his attorney released any of the classified information to the press.
But that is not the issue. The issue is this tall man is the leader of the FBI. This cat reminds me more than any other FBI director of J. Edgar Hoover.
What was it about that meeting that led you to determine that you needed to start putting down a written record?
A combination of things. I think the circumstances, the subject matter, and the person I was interacting with. Circumstances first, I was alone with the President of the United States, or the President-elect, soon to be President. The subject matter, I was talking about matters that touch on the FBI's core responsibility and that relate to the President-elect personally. And then the nature of the person. I was honestly concerned that he might lie about the nature of our meeting, and so I thought it really important to document. That combination of things I'd never experienced before, but it led me to believe I got to write it down, and I got to write it down in a very detailed way.
Look, if all the rank and file folks did what you did, ignored procedure, the FBI would not be able to function. They said in order for them to properly investigate, folks within the FBI have to honor the rules and not just violate confidentiality or release classified information because they believe they have some sort of righteous higher calling. They came down on them pretty hard, and Elaine, they also reminded folks that this is not the first time they've had to review the former FBI director's actions. Of course, they were referring to their earlier report into how Comey handled the investigation into Hillary Clinton's use of a private server, where he was also admonished for breaking with precedent and holding a press conference to announce there were no charges, which is not something the FBI does. Right.
In the wake of the IG report of the Russia investigation, former FBI Director James Comey claiming today in an interview on Fox News that he got it wrong when it came to the multitude of mistakes made by the FBI's use of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, which is better known as FISA. Comey's admissions come just days after the Inspector General, that's Michael Horowitz, stated in his report that there were significant errors and omissions by the FBI's investigation team when it applied for a FISA warrant to monitor Trump's former campaign advisor, Carter Page.
He's right, I was wrong. I was overconfident in the procedures that the FBI and Justice had built over 20 years. I'm responsible for that. That's why I'm telling you, I was wrong. I was overconfident as director in our procedures. And it's important that a leader be accountable and transparent. If I were still director, I'd be saying exactly the same thing that Chris Wray is saying, which is we are going to get to the bottom of this, because the most important question is it systemic? Are there problems in other cases?
The problems in the IG's investigation, I think he would agree, is that Comey refused to sign back up for his security clearance and therefore couldn't be questioned about classified matters.
Did you hear what the Attorney General Barr just said? Comey refused to sign up for his clearance again so he wouldn't be questioned about the shit he did in the past. Man.
As president, I have no higher priority than the safety and security of the American people. Today, I am proud to announce my choice for the next Director of National Intelligence, James Comey.
So what I wanted to see is if you could give me a yes or no answer to the question, does the NSA collect any type of data at all on millions or hundreds of millions of Americans?
No, sir.
It does not.
Not wittingly.
Man, look at all this evidence popping up on the screen before you. This clown Clapper been lying to the Senate, been lying in Congress, and this is all before DJ Trump was even on the horizon. So, once again, one of these Obama appointees out here mucking up the United States of America. Man, I'm so sick of these clowns, man. The rope!
We have evidence, new evidence, for the Obama administration's unprecedented security efforts. The National Security Agency is keeping track of the telephone records of millions of Americans.
Britain's Guardian newspaper obtained a copy of a secret court order authorizing the data collection. The document shows the information is being collected indiscriminately and in bulk.
So I responded in what I thought was the most truthful or least untruthful manner by saying no. Least untruthful manner by saying no.
Did you hear what this clown Clapper just said? The least untruthful manner. Man, these people have a way with words. You remember Bill Clinton said that depends on what the definition of is. That's what this reminds me of. The least untruthful answer. Okay, well, when I get locked up or when I commit a crime and get locked up and I go before the judge, I'm going to say, well, judge, that was the least amount of crime I figured I could do.
What I'm saying is that the Director of National Intelligence in March did directly lie to Congress, which is against the law. He said that they were not collecting any data on American citizens.
You're talking about James Clapper.
And it turns out they're collecting billions of data on phone calls every day, so it was a lie. What I'm saying is that by lying to Congress, which is against the law, he severely damaged the credibility of the entire intelligence community.
What should be done about that? I mean, I know that Mr. Clapper went on another network and said that his response, and I know what you're talking. We were talking about Senator Ron Wyden's question about data collection on millions of Americans. That's when Mr. Clapper gave that response. He went on the Andrea Mitchell program and said it was the least untruthful answer he could give. I'm guessing here that you're saying that that's not satisfactory for you. Should the president ask for his resignation?
I can't imagine how he can regain his credibility. When you lie, when you frankly come in front of the Senate and a senator asks you a direct question, which, by the way, he was warned of. According to Senator Wyden's office, they called the Director of National Intelligence and said, we're going to ask you this question. So even though he was told in advance he would get the question, he still lied in a public hearing.
I guess this is when Jim Acosta still considered himself to be a somewhat serious journalist.
So should Mr. Clapper resign, do you think?
Well, you know, the president has to decide that. I don't get a choice to decide.
If you were president, would you ask for his resignation?
Yes, he would not work in my administration.
Obama sure does know how to pick them, doesn't he? Well, he knows how to pick the ones he was told to select.
First of all, this is very, very difficult for me personally to be critical of a president.
Are you questioning his fitness?
Yes, I do. I really question his ability to, his fitness to be in this office. And I also am beginning to wonder about his motivation for it. Maybe he is looking for a way out. And what caused concern is this sort of Jekyll Hyde business, where he'll make a scripted teleprompter speech, which is good, and then turn around and negate it by the unbridled, unleashed, unchaperoned Trump. And that, to me, that pattern is very disturbing. My dashboard warning light was clearly on, and I think that was the case with all of us in the intelligence community, very concerned about the nature of these approaches to the Russians. Watergate pales, really, in my view, compared to what we're confronting now.
General Clapper, does this White House, are they credible in their public statements?
The audacity of a CNN anchor asking about someone's credibility.
Well, there's certainly a lot of doubt about that, and what's happened most recently.
Get it out, clown. Stop trying to think of something. Let me think of something real quick.
I think just has the effect of casting more doubt on the credibility of what they say.
Man, these demons are the epitome of, in psychology, what we call projection. Man.
He just now refers to it as the fake dossier, which is why I wanted to make the point that some of it has been corroborated, right, but far from all of it.
Now, did you hear this she-clown? Some of it is real, but far from all of it. What?
Do you think more or most of it is true, or would we know that by now?
Well, I don't know that.
Get it out. I'm trying to think of something, cause you caught me off guard.
First, I did want to comment on the pedigree of the financing, the audit trail there. When we did our intelligence committee assessment, we were aware that there had been research done and that some Republican candidates, as a matter of fact, had contracted through, I think...
Now he lying about the origins of the steele dossier bought and paid for by Hillary Clinton.
I think Fusion GPS to obtain what later became what's known as the dossier.
So Clinton paid for part of it, but it had been started and paid for by Republicans.
That work was, as I understand it, was handed off later to the DNC or the Clinton campaign.
So basically what they're saying is the dossier had its origins with the Republicans, who then handed it over to a Democrat. Okay.
Absolutely. And that's the other problem here. Clapper has been lying with impunity to Congress and to the American people because he knows
he's treated like a saint in the media.
Exactly. And he knows he's never going to be called on it. What they're doing here now is denying the elected president of the United States the opportunity to govern effectively. That's disgusting.
Mark, good seeing you. Crazy, crazy stuff.
John Brennan. Now, this clown was the CIA director appointed by Barack Hussein Obysmal. And all he do was lie. All he ever did was lie. You know, he was head of the CIA. They say he would come testify before Congress and say, oh, we have no proof of any collusion with the Russians on Trump's behalf. But then go out at night and go to CNN and lie and say, oh, yeah, we got proof. We got proof he's a Russian. Get the rope.
John Brennan was confirmed to be the next head of the CIA. The reignited debate, of course, about the use of drones.
Yeah, if y'all remember, John Brennan's claim to fame was during the Obysmal administration. He came out and said, we do not target Americans overseas with drone strikes. And, you know, this just lying all over the place. Yeah, he the one made the drones popular. Drone strikes.
3 months after 42 civilians died, John Brennan stood up and said,
"There hasn't been a single collateral death."
And then the clown got comfortable and started spying on Congress and the senators and stuff.
Based on what Director Brennan has informed us, I have grave concerns that the CIA's search may well have violated Executive Order 12333, which prohibits the CIA from conducting domestic searches or surveillance.
As far as the allegations of CIA hacking into Senate computers, nothing could be further from the truth. I mean, we wouldn't do that. If I did something wrong, I will go to the president, and he is the one who can ask me to stay or to go.
So this traitor does all this spying on Americans and then has the audacity to come out and tell everybody that the Steele dossier that they used to open the investigation into, that led to the investigation of Trump, he said that this dossier wasn't the main reason. Lies!
The infamous Steele dossier had no influence at all on the intel community's claim that Russia interfered in the 2016 election. Here's a selection.
Do you know who commissioned the Steele dossier?
I don't.
Did the CIA rely on it?
No.
Why not?
Because we didn't. It wasn't part of the corpus of intelligence information that we had. It was not in any way used as a basis for the intelligence community assessment that was done.
Ooh, busted! Liar! By the way, Brennan, you should know this, is an NBC and MSNBC paid contributor now, needless to say.
Now, I try to tell my brethren about the CIA's Operation Mockingbird. This is the prime example. This is the head of the CIA. He leaves the CIA in disgrace and goes and get a job with MSNBC and NBC. See, the devil has to tell you what he's doing.
Thank you for joining us. The former number 2 at the FBI could possibly face criminal charges. Andrew McCabe was fired from his post last month after officials said he misled investigators. The Justice Department's Inspector General is now asking the U.S. Attorney's Office to consider taking on the case. Well, it appears federal prosecutors may soon move to indict former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe for lying. You'll recall the Justice Department's Inspector General's office found that McCabe lacked candor when he was interviewed by investigators back in May of 2017. Well, at issue was whether he was truthful when he was questioned about his role in giving a reporter sensitive information about an investigation into the Clinton Foundation. McCabe was fired from the FBI in March of 2018.
Now, this was the number 2 man heading up the FBI. He was the interim head of the FBI when Jim Comey got his punk tall butt fired.
Was speaking to the man who had just run for the presidency and won the election for the presidency, and who might have done so with the aid of the government of Russia, our most formidable adversary on the world stage. And that was something that troubled me greatly.
And that was something that troubled me greatly. They be so breathy when they talking. Sound just like Jim Comey. They're so distraught. FBI soldiers supposedly so distraught. It was something that troubled me greatly.
How long was it after that you decided to start the obstruction of justice and counterintelligence investigations involving the president?
I think the next day.
FBI mofos jump on that quick. Just like Bubba Smollett with the noose hanging in his garage. They send about 14 FBI agents over there, but they can't send not one FBI agent to validate or lock down them ballots, them fake ballots being counted in all them swing states, huh?
I met with the team investigating the Russia cases, and I asked the team to go back and conduct an assessment to determine where are we with these efforts and what steps do we need to take going forward. I was very concerned that I was able to put the Russia case on absolutely solid ground in an indelible fashion that were I removed quickly or reassigned or fired, that the case could not be closed.
Ease, man. Look how breathy these guys are. And if you look back on hindsight now and you see that they had absolutely nothing on DJ Trump, just listen to how they talking like they were just so distraught and the world was in peril because this man was ready to tear up everything and they didn't find one thing on the man. Not one thing. Man, get the rope.
Or vanish in the night without a trace. I wanted to make sure that our case was on solid ground, and if somebody came in behind me and closed it and tried to walk away from it, they would not be able to do that without creating a record of why they made that decision.
Okay, I understand all that. Well, let's keep that same energy when if Biden, Beijing Biden get in there, and we're gonna see what happened with the Durham investigation, into what led to Trump being spied on. Let's see if we keep that same energy, clowns.
You wanted a documentary record.
That's right.
That those investigations had begun because you feared that they would be made to go away.
Listen to the breathy interviewer leading them. You didn't want it to go away. Man, clowns. Everybody clowns.
That's exactly right.
And we begin this morning with the firing of FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe.
McCabe, who briefly led the agency after Director James Comey was fired, says his dismissal last night is the latest attack on his credibility by the Trump administration.
In a tweet just after midnight, the president celebrated McCabe's firing, writing, quote, "It is a great day for the hardworking men and women of the FBI. He knew all about the lies and corruption going on at the highest levels of the FBI."
Despite spending much of the day Thursday trying to keep his job, Andrew McCabe was fired after FBI ethics officials recommended his dismissal. His firing also comes before the release of an Inspector General's report that is expected to show McCabe shared information with the media about the FBI's investigation into the Clinton Foundation. In a statement, the Attorney General said McCabe lacked candor, including under oath, on multiple occasions. All FBI employees know that lacking candor under oath results in dismissal. But McCabe pushed back hard, saying his firing is the administration's attempt to undermine Special Counsel Robert Mueller's investigation. In a statement, McCabe wrote, "I am being singled out and treated this way because of the role I played, the actions I took, and the events I witnessed in the aftermath of the firing of James Comey."
Sounding like a little biatch. And these guys supposed to be warriors and soldiers on the front lines defending us from enemies, foreign and domestic. Sounding like little bitches. Look how he treated me.
I worked very, very closely with Director Comey.
Part of Mueller's probe is looking into whether President Trump was trying to obstruct justice by firing Comey. McCabe said in his statement the Inspector General's report was fast-tracked after he told the House Intelligence Committee he would corroborate Comey's account of conversations he had with the president. Comey has testified Mr. Trump asked if he would end an investigation of former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn.
Now, isn't it fitting that the day I make this video is the day that the president pardoned Michael Flynn because he felt like, well, we all felt like it was an injustice done to him by these deep state swamp alligator creature cock.
I should mention the Department of Justice and Rosenstein in particular have said that these accounts are factually inaccurate. And that brings me actually to an issue that you have. And you were fired from the FBI, and you were fired after the Inspector General of the Department of Justice found that you had displayed a lack of candor, which I think is FBI speak for not telling the truth, about a story that appeared in the Wall Street Journal and whether or not you authorized a leak of material that was in that article. Why should anyone believe you when you were fired from the FBI for lying?
Yeah, 2 reasons. Before the president started publicly attacking me, I enjoyed a 21-year career in the FBI at every level an agent can serve within the FBI, and with absolutely not a single blemish on that career.
Hold on. I got to stop it right here because when he just said that reminded me of the statement that CNN made about Obysmal administration. No, we were scandal-free for 8 years. No, biatch. The news ain't report on nothing that you did, you slimy frauds.
Second reason, I believe very strongly I was fired because of the steps we've just discussed. I was fired because I opened a case against the President of the United States.
I read the Inspector General's report. That suggests the Inspector General is in on it and firing you for basically making up a pretext to fire you. Is that what you're suggesting?
Wow, it feels good to hear, you know, not too long ago, journalists try to have some semblance of journalistic integrity. Shit's out the window now, though.
Strok was integral in two controversial inquiries, the Russia probe and the investigation into Hillary Clinton's use of a private email server while she was Secretary of State. His downfall was triggered by the discovery of damning texts from 2016. He was grilled about it last month on Capitol Hill.
Now we have this super clown, as Rush would call him, Peter Strok Stroke Smirk. And you're going to see, look at this guy's face. If he don't look demonic and evil, and he's an FBI agent, man, the devil got to tell you what he's doing. Look at this guy.
I will not answer that question.
Hundreds of messages disparaging Trump and sent to a former colleague he was having an affair with.
Trump's not ever going to become president, right? Right? And you replied, no? No, he's not. We'll stop it.
Republicans used the revelation to try and discredit the Bureau's investigation into the Trump campaign. Strok was fired Friday, overruling a recommendation for a 60-day suspension and demotion. Trump weighed in today, tweeting, "Just fired Agent Strok, formerly of the FBI, was in charge of the crooked Hillary Clinton sham investigation. It was a total fraud on the American people and should be properly redone."
No? No, he's not. We'll stop it.
It's important to take those texts in the context of how they were written and what they meant.
Here's what I want to know. Who's the he and he's not?
He is then candidate Trump.
So when you said no, Donald Trump's not, in connection with the question going to become president, what's the it?
Chairman
We'll
Gowdy,
stop it.
Chairman Gowdy, that text needs to be taken in the context.
I'm asking, look, if you want to have a debate over a two-letter word, we're going to have to do that some other time. What and who did you mean by it?
Mr. Gowdy, as I've stated, that text was written late at night in shorthand.
I don't care when it was written. I don't care whether it was longhand, cursive. I don't care about any of that. I want to know what it meant, Agent Strok.
It would be his candidacy for the presidency, and my sense that the American population would not vote him into office.
Right. Well, we hadn't gotten to the will yet.
Well, I'm trying to cut to the chase, explain the text.
The will is the American people. Is that right? That's your testimony. The will stop it. You were speaking on behalf of the American people. Is that correct?
Mr. Gowdy, what my testimony is, and what I said during extensive asking of this question during my prior interview is, I don't recall writing that text.
Who's the he and he's not?
He is then candidate Trump.
So who did you mean by it?
Mr. Gowdy, as I've stated, that text was written late at night in shorthand. I'm trying to cut to the chase, explain the text.
The will is the American.
I don't recall writing that text. In terms of the text that we will stop it. You need to understand that that was written late at night. I don't recall writing that text. Off the cuff, and I don't recall writing that text. And it was in response to a series of events that included then candidate Trump insulting the immigrant family of a fallen war hero. I don't recall writing that text. And my presumption, based on that horrible, disgusting behavior, that the American population would not elect somebody demonstrating that behavior to be president of the United States. I don't recall writing that text. It was in no way, unequivocally, any suggestion that me, the FBI, would take any action whatsoever to improperly impact the electoral process. I don't recall writing that text.
This is Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, point of order. This point of order.
No, the gentleman will state his point of order.
A member of this committee just asserted that this witness was under oath and a former agent of the FBI lied. There is no evidence of that. I ask him to withdraw it.
I do not withdraw it. He is not a member of Congress. It's not a violation of the rule. And just as you have been expressing bias through your members about what a hero
there's not a single
comes
person
in
on this
and
committee
lies.
who has ever characterized a witness
Gentleman
as
from
lying.
Rhode Island,
Gentlemen,
It's my time.
that's a just
Gentleman from Rhode Island will
Praise
suspend.
him. No, the disgrace
Mr.
what this man has done.
The
to
gentleman
our
from
justice.
Texas will suspend for a
There
moment.
is the disgrace. And it won't be recaptured anytime soon because of the damage you've done to the justice system. And I've talked to FBI agents around the country. You've embarrassed them. You've embarrassed yourself. And I can't help but wonder when I see you looking there with a little smirk, how many times did you look so innocent into your wife's eye and lie to her about Lisa?
Mr. Chairman, this is outrageous.
Credibility of a witness
Shame
is
on
always
you.
an issue.
Mr. Chairman, please, there's
You, Mr. Chairman, this is intolerable harassment of the
What's
witness.
wrong with that? You need your medication.